I request all the students to settle down, please. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to everyone. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor, Mr. Ahmed Amin, Indus University and the management, I, Wajiha Aziz, welcome all of you, especially our honorable guests, Mr. Mitch, Carson, Mr. Rehan Allahwala, who is the CEO and founder of Supertech, and Mr. Masood Akhtar, and also Mr. Awais Farooqi. We're really very happy and glad that you're here with us to share your knowledge. Today's speaker topic is entrepreneurship opportunities in the world. I would first like to invite Mr. Qari Yasir Shah for the tilawat of Quran Pak.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا.
I would now like to invite our honorable guest, Mr. Mitch Carson, on the stage to share his knowledge with us. As we all know, he's here all the way just to share all what he has with the students of different universities in Karachi. Mr. Mitch Carson, could you please have yours?
Good morning, Karachi. I am excited to be here, and I hope you're excited to be here too. We're going to have fun this morning. Is that okay? Okay, if I use a little American humor, will that be suitable? Just a little, I promise. I lived in Hollywood for a number of years, and I can't get it off my chest. So I'm here to share a little bit of that. So let's start with what slide is behind me. Who believes this is 100% true? Raise your hands, don't be shy. There are no shy members today. Even the people standing in the back, shyness is not acceptable, only on this day in Karachi, Pakistan. You believe it. You are a true believer in the false. In the false. but I appreciate the fact that you raised your hand. I have a prize for you at the end of the day. It's going to be a great business card. Has everybody received the business card? Okay, and who hasn't? We have some more for you later. So, I want to start with this. Who thinks any of this is true? Any of it? Well, my reality started just like you. I was in college, or as university, as you folks refer to it, at the age of 20, and then some things changed in my life. I was very close with my parents, and I had two of them. My mother became very ill with cancer, and things radically changed in my life, and here is what happened. 5 weeks before my mother died, she went on a 1.5 year binge, of cancer, going in and out of remission, and then finally died. 5 weeks before she died, because of the stress, my father died of a heart attack. And then I realized that he had borrowed money from me out of our joint account so he could pay off gambling debts. He didn't pay them off fully. $40,000 was owed to a man named Joe Rizzo, and he had a nose that went like this. Has anybody seen that type of character in Hollywood movies? Well, in my world at age 22, it was very real. And guess who owed the money when my father died? I did. I was saddled with this debt. I was a college student, and he felt because I was his son, I owed the money. And this guy didn't play. Can you feel possibly what I felt at your respective age? College student, fragile, young, just lost both my parents in a 5-week period of time. I was depressed, bummed out, as we say in LA, and broke. And I owed an Italian guy $40,000. Who would say that those are pretty tough circumstances? Anybody? Anybody who want to trade places with me at that age? Well, 30 years later, my life's a little different. I was able to pay him off within a year with the unbelievable interest that he charged, because survival had to come into play. You do what you have to do when you've got a fire on your buttocks. Okay, and I'm going to respect your culture. There's another word that starts with an A that we use in America, and I won't use it here, especially after a prayer just existed, and this woman covered her head up. Where did she go? She hid from me. Okay, I'm a good American, a nice one. I'm not here to cause any problems, okay? Stop smiling, sir. It's not that funny. Okay. Who has seen this? It's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Everybody seen this? College students, something you cover. So when you're in a desperate situation called survival, meaning you have no money, you owe a really angry Italian with a gold tooth that he liked to show, money, a lot of money, which was an insurmountable amount of money to me at the age of 22 while a college student, I had to get serious about making money. It was priority number one. Not only did I have to feed myself, I had to find a place. I was 2 weeks behind on my rent just because things were crazy during that time. Had to figure out how to pay rent, pay a reasonable amount of money to this angry Italian dude, and feed myself, and to make money very quickly. Who would like to be in that situation? No hands are up. A lot of arms are crossed. Kind of sucked to be in that spot, tell you the truth. Is that a cuss word here? Sucked? No? Is that okay, sir? Okay. It's okay? Okay. Good. Thank you for that reaffirmation. So, what did I do? I was going to a school called the University of Southern California. I'm from LA, Los Angeles. And I figured out very quickly how to make money. It was a wealthy private school. I came from a wealthy family, and all the money was gone and then some, as I had mentioned. But I had survival instincts, and everybody would kick in to survival if you had to. It's either you live or you die. And for me, death would have been at the butt of a gun. So you've heard the expression, if you have a gun to your head, what are you going to do? You figure it out. And I literally and figuratively had a gun to my head. Pointed at me, survive, win, do what it takes to survive. So I had to take care of the basic needs. So there are some principles that I have lived by in survival. So what I had to do right out of the gate in college, I did something that may sound ridiculous to you, but I sold t-shirts. I found with a rich school there was something called the sorority and fraternity system. Do you have that here in Pakistan? Greek sorority fraternities? Okay. In America it's huge, where they follow the Greek system. You belong to a club, an association. You have associations here, yes? You got to have that. Okay. Well, the associations have identities. They have t-shirts, they have cups, do all this. So what did I do? I went belly to belly and sold every fraternity and sorority on campus and realized how easy it was there. And then I went over to our competing school called UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles, did the same thing there, and I survived. I was able to pay. And here was the beauty. Something called cash flow for any of you business majors. I collected all the money up front from everybody that I sold to. So I had positive cash flow before I had to pay the vendors that printed the shirts for me. I had to buy the shirts from one place, take the silk screener to another, and I got terms from them because I negotiated hard out of desperation and survival. So I had enough money to pay my rent, feed myself, and pay the Italian. And his gun slowly removed from my head because he saw my efforts and he actually admired me at the end of my payment. It took me a little over a year to pay him off. So I worked my butt off. $40,000 in net income at age 22 was pretty impressive, yes? Especially back then, and this is 30 years ago. I'm 52 to give you a perspective. So in 30 years, a lot has changed. From living at the butt of a gun to now where I'm able to stand on a stage in a foreign country, and this is, I think, the 7th foreign country that I'm able to speak in front of, and I have the privilege to do this here. And share my story, because many of you, just by sheer numbers, I know have had, maybe the content was different, but you've had to survive. Who's had it very easy their whole life? Anybody? Anybody have rough circumstances that you had to kick into gear to survive? A few of you, I bet. You don't have to be shy here. We're all going to be really good friends at the end, and I invite photos, Facebook, all that, and smiles. Is that okay? Okay, so after this, I want to share some of the principles that I've lived by that are going to change your life because they're tried and true. And what I did when I was young is I sought out mentors that were able to show me the way because they had done it. And I like walking on the path that has been proven before. Proven before. There is a way of living in business, and you follow that path. So what I had to do, step one, was find out what is the top... I hate standing behind a podium. Don't worry, I'm not a rock and roll musician. But I do want to stand out. I feel like I'm guarded. Is this a little better? Just don't look at the waistline. I've eaten too much while I've been on this trip. So what I learned was the first, you have to find out with any client, any prospect, what is their top frustration. And if you can solve their top frustration, you fill that need, that want, that gap, you are on your way to making money. So what I had found at age 22, selling to the fraternities and sororities, they didn't know where to get these t-shirts done. There was one shop that was on campus, and the person that worked there had a bad attitude. I came in with a smile and gave them unbelievable pricing and service because I was desperate. So the first thing was I found their frustration was service and timely delivery. Service and timely delivery. If you deliver that, that's a universal principle in any country in the world. Would anybody disagree with that? Service and delivery. Say what you're going to do, deliver on it, and it's very hard for clients to leave you at that point. Very hard for them to leave you because people rely on reliable service and delivery. You have to also find who makes the buying decisions. In this particular case, when I would walk into the fraternity, I would knock on the door, and it would be just some drunk dude with a beer in his hand I know it's hard for you to relate to because you probably don't have a lot of drunk dudes with beers hanging out in the universities, right? It's kind of against the Koran, right? Well, remember that earlier slide? Christians have no problem drinking, okay? So, you know, some drunk dude walked at the university, and he said, oh, you have to speak to the social chairperson. So I go to drunk dude number 2, and I said, pour another, because then the money's going to pour quickly. So you got to find out who makes the buying decisions whenever you're out there trying to sell. I mean, this young man invited me to come to your charity, right? Isn't that, or a charity, or it's the handicap? I would love to go. But you need to talk to the person that is hosting me, that's taking me around, because for me to drive in Karachi, impossible. Not going to happen, okay? Deal? Talk to this man in the front row. He's kind of showing me around Karachi. I guarantee if you dropped me in the middle of the town, I wouldn't know where I was. And I'd probably get stared at. Speaking the language. All right, you're at a university here. When you are a freshman, first-year student, and there is Dr. Hamid Mohammed. I'm just picking a name out of my ear. Is that a fair assessment? Possibly a name here. He has been educated at the finest school in Karachi, and he's going to speak in a lingo, in a language that probably is going to be above your heads. Yes? And when you speak lingo that is outside the comfort zone of your intended audience, what happens? You get separated. You get separated. I mean, it's no different than if you started speaking Urdu to me. What would happen to our bond? We'd be in jeopardy, because I wouldn't understand anything beyond a salam alaikum. Okay? Maybe a yalla, but that's it. Beyond that, we would have a problem. It's a very different language than what I speak. If you spoke English, we can communicate. No different than finding the correct language. And when you're writing copy, when you're communicating, you're selling something, because entrepreneurship, whether you like it or not, it's not a swear word to sell. Embrace sales and marketing, because no business functions without it. I'm a professional, I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a PhD. Well, okay, even PhDs, in order for them to stay of status, they've got to publish. And guess what publishing is? It's marketing. It is marketing. That's what PhDs have to do. Everybody has to market. So if you have the belief that sales and marketing those are swear words, get over it. Get over it. When you submit your papers to the prof, what are you doing? You're marketing your papers, aren't you? So who's not going to think of it as a swear word anymore? The whole room. So speak your language correctly, communicate with your audience. Understand competitive intelligence. Now, I don't know how the grading works here in Pakistan, but are you folks all, do you have a curve? Do you grade, is anything graded on a curve here? So you're competing with other students, yes? In some cases. Well, if you are looking at what other papers are being written on, well, you know, you want to help out your buddy here or your friend from birth, but you're competing. Get serious. Competition is real. So do your competitive intelligence. What are they writing about? Write about something different. And what has your competition done before to succeed or fail? And that's all part of your competitive analysis. If someone has written, or you know a professor here who is really a hard butt about certain details, she doesn't let anyone get an A if they have a spelling mistake in one of their papers. I think spelling mistakes are unforgivable today with the computers. Okay? I'm so old, we had submitted our term papers by hand. Okay? Spelling errors weren't allowed back then. So you got computers, you've got it easy. No spelling errors. Okay. Who's seen this radio station? Anybody? It doesn't exist here in Karachi? I guarantee you it exists in Islamabad. And it exists in Lahore. It exists in the United Arab Emirates. It exists in Persia. Everywhere in the world. Because it stands for, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? And I'm going to prove it to you why that is a reliable acronym. And 100% true no matter where we are in the world. Who's on Facebook? Who's on Facebook? Raise those hands. Who tweets and twitters and does all the buzzwords of the social media? All of us. Young lady, when you take pictures with your friends on Facebook and you have a photo, the three of you, this is a very nice looking group right here in the front. When you look at your photos on Facebook, whose picture do you look at first? You look at yourself. That's an honest answer and 100% true. What's in it for me? If you have the mindset when you go and prospect clients and just change the acronym a little bit, understanding that they're always looking at what's in it for me, and if you then change it to what's in it for them, you market accordingly, you sell accordingly, this is how you benefit, you'll make money. You'll make money. Going back to my survival example, I went into those schools and the fraternity houses and said, I will get these shirts to you in 2 days, no problem. Guaranteed, or it's free. This was the benefit for them. If you have that mindset in whatever business you're in, if you're out there prospecting for a job, how many are going to look for work when they're done with their university studies? How many want to be entrepreneurs and work for themselves? Just a few of you. Okay, well, if you're out there and even if you're looking to submit a business plan, which some of you entrepreneurs may need money to get, you're going to have to convey a message to angel investors, or even if you're selling mom and dad on your idea, say, hey dad, you've got to do a good job and explain what's in it for the person that's investing in you and your business. If you have a resume out there, you better be able to convey how they're going to benefit by employing you. Think of that mindset and how to give first before you take. So when I look at growing my business, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to work for business, and how to explain how you benefit your employer is you need to look at how you're going to attract clients and or prospects, how you're going to convert them into becoming a client, how to leverage them into buying other products, and lastly, and most important, how to retain them. Because it's often an overlooked mistake when someone buys or gets a client, they ignore them. There's this endorphin rush that goes on when you sell somebody the first time. I got them. I closed them. Beat that chest and then you forget them. How to retain them is a lot easier than going and acquiring a new client. I love the media. Anybody been on the radio here? In TV, student newspaper? Student newspaper? Do you have a student newspaper online, offline, underline? You? No? Student newspaper. You can raise your hand. I have eyes in the back of my head. No problem. The radio has worked extremely well. You become the center of knowledge. Now, I'm going to use radio and podcasting interchangeably. Who has podcasted here? One man. You're an alone man. You've got a pink tie. You're all alone. All alone. But we're going to get company for you by the time we're done. I promise you're going to have a bunch of pink tie followers podcasting with you. Because you create fans. It's unbelievable what it'll do for you. And you got to create a system, because if you don't, set aside the trash, but this traffic looks a little like Karachi. It's crazy and wild here, and I love it. Principle number 1. If you can write down some notes, that's great. And if you're too tidy and elbow to elbow here, I'm going to upload this presentation so everybody can have it. Is that okay, Mr. Vice Chancellor? Okay, with the red tie. You ought to get together with pink tie, and you guys will look grand. Social proof. This was me in 1996 on a channel. I was on television for a number of years in the U.S. This is Home Shopping Network. Anybody heard of it? Anybody heard of it? Just raise, you've heard of it. You've heard of it. Did you live in the U.S. for a bit? Okay. It's live television in the U.S. There are no second takes. There's none of this take one, take two, take three. It is on the spot live. I'm a one-take guy because I learned to do it. And it all comes back from my survival training. When you got a camera rolling on you with 5 million fat ladies watching you on TV with their feet kicked up and eating bonbons and picking up the phone calling, you better be accurate because they're your money. I described the demographic that bought because it went 24/7. Every day of the year, Home Shopping Network is piped into American households. And more than 80% of the people that buy and the profile are women in the Midwest, which is the middle of the country in the U.S., which are more typical of what I described earlier, where they're a little overweight, we're the fattest country in the world, and they sit home, watch TV all day, talk to their girlfriends complaining about their husbands, and buy stuff on TV. That's what they do. I know it's not like that here, but that was my country, and I had to cater my message to that market. And the way to market is message to market match. Message to market match. So I had to craft every message thinking that I was Mildred sitting on the couch with bonbons, tortilla chips, popcorn, and a big tall glass of Coke. There she was sitting there, but she was my audience. She was the one that was paying my bills. So I had to talk to Mildred. Has anybody known a Mildred before? I knew millions of them. And they were my audience. So after I did live television, I got into doing radio because something happens in TV. After a while, you become aged. And the executive producer said to me very nicely, he said, Mitch, it's time to sunset your television career. He said, you've got a great face for radio. It hurt, but it was accurate. You have to face the music sometimes. Professional athletes have to hang up their cleats. And those of us in the media, I mean, I could have put a wig on, but it was against my principles. You can tell. It's not getting any better. So I got into the radio, and I'm going to show you some examples of that in a little bit. So I've been able to leverage, fortunately. Has anybody been to my website here, seen it before I came? A couple people? Up here, I have all the credibility to show where I have been published or featured in different publications. It is okay to showcase this because people buy based on your perceived value. I know there's something called humility, and it came from my roots, but you've got to be humble, and from my religion. I'm not taking any calls right now, thank you. And religion was to be humble, and I'm all about humility, but marketing is about showcasing who you are. So if you have accomplished certain things that are worth displaying, putting on your chest, and showcasing it, do it. Because it'll make you money. Because people buy based on perceptions oftentimes. There's a smoke and mirrors principle. And if you have a website, make sure you always include an opt-in box. Because your list is your goal. Anybody have a website that makes money for them right now? Anybody? Anybody have a website? You have one website. One man, two men. Okay. Does it make money for you? Okay, we're going to go through some of these principles. First principle is start an opt-in box. Because I'm going to show you ways to get traffic, and traffic pays you money. Traffic equals money. And you can make it through all sorts of places, and I'm going to show you those. You get their name, just ask for their first name and their email address. Then you can direct market to them. This is an example of, I had the #1 radio show in Los Angeles of a market of 10 million people. I know it's only half the size of Karachi, but a big city nonetheless. Second largest market in the U.S., Los Angeles. And I had the #1 talk radio show in L.A. on Saturday afternoons at 1 p.m. This was one of my students that I taught how to start his own radio show. He too was able to replicate this success. And one of the things I like to do is be able to mentor others so they can succeed. In the world of academia, teachers aren't here because of the money. They are here because they get their jollies, their rewards out of helping others. You, sir, are you a teacher? Okay. He's so serious.
I teach marketing